Today is Saturday, December 9th, 2023. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 45, Week 11.
Yes, we're just 2 episodes out from the finale, and there's been some...
1 episode out from the finale.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. This was 2 episodes, right? We're coming into this one. Yes, we got the penultimate and the finale coming up, but there's been interesting developments in this last episode. I'm anxious to hear what the other superfans thought. We shared our perspective on Wednesday. I hope I didn't come off too negative. You're usually just very positive, but sometimes I get upset when things are subpar, and it just seemed like things had...
Especially right after.
Had gone a little subpar.
I don't know that I was that positive either for that, just because I don't know, we were disappointed.
Yes, and that was kind of like 2 weeks in a row. It was compounding.
Of course, we get over it.
Yes, sure.
But when we record the recap, it is right after we watch it, literally.
Yes, so sometimes it is pretty much our raw reaction.
Always.
Yeah. So that's why I'm anxious to hear what the other superfans thought, look at it in total, and gain additional new and nuanced perspectives on what happened in week 11, episode 11. Is there anything we need to cover before we get started?
I don't believe so.
Let's kick it off with Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Oh, man, another very good episode. Actually, I'll even say a phenomenal episode, because I did not see that coming. So I'm going to let out a great big woo! But I'm sad to see Emily go. Now, in the beginning, when they showed, the flashback when those quitters happened, I wasn't a fan of Emily. I thought she was going to be one of the early boots because she didn't have a good social game. But I give credit where it's due. She realized she had to change things up, and she was well-liked. She did very good socially, very good strategically, and held her own in challenges, even though I don't think she won one. But she was always in it, and that's what led to her demise. But, man, I was sad she was the one that got idled. Part of me wished it was Austin, because that really would have hurt D a lot. But I knew with the edit, Julie was not going to do that to D. Good on Julie to play that idol, but you really got to give credit to D. Do you think if D hadn't settled her down when Julie was panicking, that she would have played that idol? I don't believe so. And now Julie gets credit for playing the idol and getting rid of Emily, but I really would give credit to D, because I think without D, no way Julie does that. It was a good episode, though. A lot of a back and forth. Kudos to Drew for winning a challenge there. He built up his resume a little bit. And Austin never being a showman. And you hear him talking about Rob and Amber in the All-Star season. And that's what led to him telling D and D telling Julie she got to play the idol and write Emily. Always going to watch out for showmances. I don't know if Austin's going to make Final 3 with D and a go, or if he's going to be a Final 4 fire maker loser. But I don't think Austin's going to win, period, especially with D. It looks like D is going to win, in my opinion. She's got the social game, the strategy, almost Poverty 2.0. Maybe not as good as Poverty, because it's a new era, as Probst calls it. But she would get my vote. I like Julie, but now she's going to be at odds with Drew, and I think even Austin. And Katurah, zilch. she got no chance. Jake, let's face it, a goat, the bagel. At least I could say someone from Boston could make it to the end, even though I don't think they have a chance to win. But right now, it looks like D, and then maybe Julie, but Julie now is going to be seen as a big, big threat now, too. And that's a good shield for D. Emily, you played a great game. I hope you come back in the future, though. Now, let me hear what you said in the interview. I'm sure you didn't see that coming. And by the way, that's the first time I think we've seen almost every single vote since Micronesia in the Final Five when Eric gave his idol to Natalie, and they showed every vote when Eric got blindsided. This was awesome, though. Take care. Woo.
Whoa. Okay, so they had done that before. I didn't remember it. Thanks, Pete. Emily was not aware of that idol, she said in her interview. She said that they thought that it had left with Sifu, so quite shocked when the idol was played. She thought Julie was going up to play her shot in the dark. And when she realized it was the idol, she was like, oh, no, I'm going.
She thought it was her?
Yes. Well, she knew because they had been lying, she said, to each other's face all during the day.
Oh, okay.
And so they both knew something was up and that they were playing the game, and she knew she was dancing around that. So as soon as she saw that idol play, she was like, I'm gone. I'm a goner. I guess one of the other things that stood out, let's see. Oh, Pete said he hoped to see her again. She said she was not interested in that. She had no desire to play again at this point. Maybe if they offered more money at some other point. But for that amount and for, I guess, the overall experience she had, and the odds of actually winning it, she wasn't interested in doing it again right now.
Well, in her job, she probably makes a lot of money. So
or will. That many times over the course of her career if she stays in
it
that.
may not be worth it to stay out of work to go play.
Mm-hmm.
And she was more interested in the experience and just getting the money,
Yes, and helping with that new
now
house.
Now she doesn't want the experience.
She got that. And I guess the other really big takeaway I got out of the interview was how little she knew about Survivor. And that's by her own admission. That's really what she said. She had no idea of the extent of the fandom, for example. So the reaction she had gotten both early on and then later with her turn,
really surprised her when she
caught her completely off guard. And it's just like borderline, overwhelming, borderline troubling, the sheer size of it, and when she hadn't anticipated it coming. And so a lot of times I think when we were giving her credit for being savvier and all that really wasn't the case. She just didn't have a whole lot of knowledge of the game and what was going on. Plus she had some really tough breaks. If it hadn't been for Hannah's goof in the beginning, she wouldn't be there. So she was confident of that. She was going had Hannah not done that.
Interesting.
Yep. Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. Much like last week, I gotta say that this episode left me feeling a little bit disappointed, and I was really just disappointed in the players and what I would deem to be some poor Survivor gameplay. And it all started this week with Emily explaining to everyone exactly how she orchestrated the Bruce vote. That moment made it clear to me that Emily lacked the impulse control and understanding of the game in order to be a good Survivor player. She had the entire trip back from Tribal Council to the camp where you're not allowed to talk about the vote to get over the excitement of blindsiding Bruce and realize that bragging about this move would be best saved for final Tribal Council instead of making herself such a visible threat in this stage in the game. It was also another bad episode for my USB Austin as we learned the full extent of some of the blunders that he has made, and I think the only redeeming moment he really had this episode was not playing as idol, and we don't know the full context behind that. I think that Austin still has a small chance at winning this game, but it's a mere sliver of hope in his bumbling edit. And I think it's going to require him to either blindside Dee or Julie next week, then beat the other at the fire-making challenge. And to me, it sounds like some amazing Survivor fan fiction, and I would love to see it, but I'm not sure that he'd be willing to blindside either one. I also found the journey this week to be absolutely pointless considering nothing happened. Yep. It just basically felt like filler TV. And Emily did volunteer to participate in the rock draw, so why not have some sort of consequence for just taking the journey? Maybe they should add a heads up that, hey, you can take this journey, you might win something, but you're going to lose your vote. Or if not, they're volunteering, she should have just lost her vote right away, and then maybe she has an opportunity to either get her vote back or be immune at the next tribal council. I was thinking even with the opportunity to get her vote back, if she chooses it, maybe she'd have to roll a 6-sided dice with all the players' names on it, and she can roll it up to 4 times, and she has to settle on a name, and that's who she would vote for. And if she doesn't pick one, then she has to put her own name on the ballot. So I don't know, something crazy like that would be more interesting than nothing at all. For next week, I think it's going to be between Drew and Julie, but I have a feeling it's Drew's time to go. He's destabilized the Reba 4, and I think he's going to pay for his treason. I'd love to hear your fan theories on what Jeff said about the fire-making challenge in his podcast a week if you guys listen to it. Anyway, that's it for me. I look forward to hearing all the other fans' feedback, and you guys just take care.
Thanks, Robert.
Well, I hope Robert's right, because I've been wanting Drew to go for
quite a while.
How many weeks now?
I think that's a theme.
Drew,
Yeah.
please sit here.
Yeah. Let's see. Robert covered a lot of stuff there. She said that although you think it might have been ego, her taking credit for, getting Bruce to go and hold his idol. Mm-hmm. She said she had determined that it actually came from her own insecurities. She was very concerned with how the jury might be perceiving her lack of any significant activity, anything they could reference at Final Tribal. And when she started trying to explain to Julie how that happened, she ended up taking credit for it, and she thinks that came from her own insecurity, not her ego needing. I don't know, maybe those are like two sides of the same coin, but she said it was a little different spin on it.
In her mind, anyway.
But it came from a place of insecurity, and she knew that she shouldn't have done it after she had done it, but... And she said there was no chance when she saw that. They had talked about that back at camp after the Sweat and Savvy. They had all talked about, what that puzzle was, and no one had been able to figure it out. She said she had even seen it solved since she had been back, and she still didn't understand it. So as soon as she saw it, she knew that was not an option.
Right choice. Yeah.
Just wasn't. She said, I could have been out there all day, and I never would have solved it. Didn't matter about the hourglass timer.
But she understood that was her demise when she told how she got Bruce to not play the idol.
Yeah, and at least that was, part of the 1-2 punch, the winning the reward challenge, and then on the back of that, getting him to hold his idol like that.
That she shined a light on herself as a target.
Yep.
Okay.
And on the fire-making challenge that Probst alluded to, he didn't actually say anything. He said he's going to say something at the end. So after the finale, he's going to say something in regards to the Final Four fire-making challenge. And
you think they're not going to do it anymore?
I think that he's probably bowing to fan pressure on that, because people just can't stand it when their favorite person... Mm-hmm. Like Carson last season, goes in and completely flubs it. Having done all of that practice with 3D puzzles, all the time and effort that he put into that, and to not put the same level of effort into learning how to make a fire.
Should have put it into fire making.
Yeah, well, and that's one thing that you can control. Yeah. It's there. It's part of the game.
Yeah.
And so he's probably going to bow to that pressure and maybe offer an option or make it some kind of pick a rock, it's fire making, or you guys vote, or something like that.
So I guess we'll find out after the finale.
Yes. Yeah, that's when he said he's going to circle back to it. So that was just my guess since Robert asked. Thanks, Robert. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling from Northern California. The most impressive player for me this week was Julie. Oh, my God, what a killer Julie. Mama Julie, assassin, turned out to be. She had such a fierce game face. I felt like her teeth were bared, her eyes were slanted. She was coming for you. I just thought she was great. Going into this week, what my prediction was and how I did my points was I thought Drew was going to try to upset the apple cart. That's what I absolutely thought. I was quite sure that they were going to see what he was doing and vote him out. I almost picked Emily as my vote out because I was very concerned that she would not be able to contain herself and she would say, look what I did, I got Bruce out, which she did. And then when Drew won immunity, I've lost a safe point because they're going to vote out Emily now, which is what transpired. But all the excitement, it was kind of a nail biter in the middle of how it all played out. And I think my biggest takeaway was it really comes down to how strong your alliances are sometimes. Yes, you can get advantages, and yes, you can win immunity, but this Austin, Julie trifecta, it really showed these people were so in with each other. Austin was not going to go against D was not going to go against Austin. In the end, Julie was not going to go against D. Emily is voted out. And it really goes to show sometimes it's the luck of the draw, what tribe you end up on, how well that tribe does initially, absolutely. How well your alliances stay with you. And I loved the episode. I was really sad that Emily left. I really found Emily to be a fascinating player. I thought she was really smart. My USB Katora, her story, that just about broke me. I have so much admiration for her for what she's been able to do with the beginning she had. And again, her name's still not being floated and we're going into the final 2 weeks. So I got my fingers crossed that she'll do well. I still think if it comes down to a final where Katora and Dee are both in it, I feel like it would be Dee who won above her. So I would probably vote Dee, then Katora. And I still feel like Jake is going to be a no vote 3. Julie is a force to be reckoned with. I think it's hers to lose going into the final 3. And we've got challenges, we've got fire making. It really, you never know how that's all going to play out. But I think if Julie made it into the 3, she could take it. Major points with the jury this week. When they said, she's going to choose who goes, they really were impressed by her. And maybe that's the way you do it. Instead of telling what you did right after the vote out, you show what you did in a tribal council and you get votes with the jury. That's all I got for this week. I will be returning to Oahu on Friday. So my final feedbacks will come from the tropics. And I am sitting in my car, ready to go on my bike ride, my last cold bike ride of the next couple of months, because we'll be in Hawaii until at least March, and I'm going to enjoy my last little nap a day. Hope everyone's doing great, and thank you, Joanne and Stacy. Can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say. Bye.
Thanks, Rebecca. I remember those cold rides. Get so cold you can't even brake. You can't squeeze the brakes on your bike sometimes, and it was chilly today. When I got up this morning, it was in the low 30s, and we had frost here. So,
people with snow on the ground.
Yes. Well, I'm just talking about
Northern
California. Yeah. Well, she's in Napa Valley.
We go outside, we get frostbite.
Yeah. Wine country.
Yeah. So actually, it's a fairly nice day, but you're cold in here.
Yes.
Your hands are like ice. I'm like, what's wrong?
No, they're better now. See?
They are better now. Well, Why were they so cold?
I think it's because I ate, and the blood goes to your core when you eat for the digestion. Then it delivers the warmth and the nutrients back out to the extremities.
Well, and it had a lot to digest. Like great big old burger you ate.
Breakfast burgers. Hoo-hoo.
Breakfast burgers.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Especially good with egg on top.
Yeah.
Get those in Hawaii, too.
Okay, that's true. I had my first one like that in Sydney. Mm-hmm. Years in 2000. Anyway, we digress.
Do you think Rebecca's holding out hope? I don't know. See, there's going to be so many people on the jury that were there in the tribe with Katura where they withheld the idol that Bruce had because she was the least trusted. They didn't even. Nobody was aligned with her.
I don't.
I was struggling to see that because Caleb hid it from her, Kelly hid it from her.
Of course, the Lord knows
Bruce
I've been wrong all season about that.
I'm thinking Jake's going to end up on the jury.
I don't even have a USB, so.
And if Jake were somehow sitting beside her, he would surely remind her. Who knows? Yeah.
I actually don't know that either one of them are going to get there. I mean, I guess they could take Jake as a goat. But
anything's possible now that we've uncovered that the Reba 4 are dysfunctional.
Are splintering. But I can't even say that they won't hold together and pick the other two
Right,
off,
right.
or somebody will convince Drew to settle down and just go this way, and then the three of them will agree to vote him out. Oh, they can't vote him out though; it's fire making. So,
Oh, you're talking about at Final Four?
yeah. So I would vote Drew out next. Is what I would do.
Let's see
Either
what.
that or Mama J, because she's still a huge threat.
Let's see what Jacqui from Wisconsin's got to say. What's on her mind? I wanted to send in some quick comments on Bruce's exit from the game. This week's episode started with the tribe back at camp rejoicing in Bruce's vote out. Sure, part of the rejoicing was that he didn't play his idol, but there also seemed to be an overwhelming relief to have him out of camp. The thing that strikes me the most is that Bruce must have been so utterly annoying to everyone that they would rather lose him as an ally than live another day with him. That is tough. That is so tough. I felt for him again this week. Seeing every single person celebrate his vote out was interesting, even his former tribe mate allies. There is a powerful message in this, and it's unfortunate if Bruce does not rewatch, reflect, and take in this feedback. I listened to an interview with Bruce, and he clearly had the "it's not a problem with me, it's them" frame of mind. Yeah, he didn't seem to have really, it didn't seem to register. He did not accept, and he said he was making changes. He was active listening now.
Or at least he thinks he is.
He thinks he is, yeah.
Yeah.
You know that those who work with him and coach with him in real life all identified what they saw on screen with what they saw on screen. It's rare that you see such a unanimous, consistent perspective by a large group of people. We all have blind spots and areas to improve. Seeing someone completely ignore so much glaring feedback was surprising. And it's the exact reason they'll invite him back to play a third time. Again, I'm reminded that we no longer get Ponderosa episodes anymore. It sure would have been fun to watch Bruce's entrance and time in Ponderosa. From his in his interview, he sounded like Ponderosa wasn't a great experience. It would be interesting to see why he said that. I think it would be uncomfortable to see why he said that. It's been a great season. Love the 90-minute episodes. Looking forward to the finale. Thanks, Jacqui.
Yeah, good points, Jacqui. Wow.
Bruce is the realization of that idea I've had for a long, long time about how could things go really, really badly outside of something that could be even worse. But for you to go in and not, maybe his defense in the lack of acceptance or the ignorance of it is the protection for him. It does seem staggering how much, like Jacqui was saying, they were celebrating that just the minute he was no longer there.
I just don't think a social game is for Bruce.
Right. That seems to be the case.
You know, because he seems to be very set in his ways, and if he didn't really reevaluate himself, I mean, and that's hard. It's hard to see things about yourself that you had absolutely no clue about.
Yeah.
And really take that in, but it's always, I think, in the person's best interest to really evaluate that and try to grow from it. So hopefully he has, but I'm skeptical, and I would prefer not to see him play the game of Survivor
Me
again.
too. I don't want him to go through that again because I think it's highly unlikely he would be able to put himself in a better position. There are Ponderosa videos. I did come across some.
Yeah.
It's the Survivor BE budget era version of a Ponderosa video. They hand them a phone and they walk around doing a selfie interview, or they are answering a couple questions.
A minute or two.
Yeah, it's not much.
It's not much of anything.
And the two that I saw with Caleb and Kelly, I didn't see Kendra's show up yet, but the two that I saw were nothing burgers. They had nothing significant in them. They don't give them enough time.
I like seeing them arrive. I love that.
The arrival is always huge.
I really, really miss that.
And what happened at the first meal there after the arrival. How are they welcomed?
Even what they got to eat.
Yeah,
you know.
and then the seeing themselves in the mirror the weighing afterwards, all those things that were part of that formula.
And the conversations that other people needed to have with them.
You're right.
And they needed to have
And how
with
long
other
could they
people.
wait? Could they wait until the person finished eating? No, most of the time they couldn't.
Not.
Yeah. I bet they didn't with Bruce either. So yeah, Survivor budget era, Survivor BE, those are just, they're not fulfilling at all.
Well, it would have been hard too to know, to view and see the jury's excitement that he was voted out as well, and knowing that he's headed their way.
Right.
And these people that were all terribly excited to see him being voted out, people he thought was in his alliance, Kendra and...
But in his mind, look how big of a threat they thought I was.
Okay.
All right, thanks,
I
Jackie.
can see that too.
Next up, we got a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy, and all my Survivor friends. So I was sad to see Emily go. Now, Austin pretty much blew up the game in general by making a uselessly stupid move. All he had to do was just keep his mouth shut and vote for Emily. There would have then still be 4 votes for Julie and she would go home. Meanwhile, Dee would have been none the wiser that he had helped to instigate her elimination. He could just have claimed that he didn't know and have been as deceived as she was. But Austin is in love, so he has to be truthful to Dee. I think they forget that they're survivors sometimes. And why did Austin not ask for his idol back? Well, Katura's story was really sad but inspiring. But am I watching Survivor or am I watching Oprah? So over all these sob stories. I'm sorry if I come across as uncaring, but all this crying just doesn't do it for me. This season I wanted to see strategy and gameplay. Initially I was quite impressed by the players, but not in this current form of their voting. All the votes on one person, they don't even think about splitting the votes. It was the perfect time to have taken out Dee, or they could have taken out Austin. But if now Julie gets to the final 3, she's going to definitely win. And I'm sorry, the boys farting and being juvenile is not amusing. So I think the final 5 are going to be Julie, Katura, Dee, Austin and Jake. But I think next person to go is going to be Austin. And then I don't think Dee will let Julie stay, knowing that Julie is, if she's in the final, she wins. So let's see who gets to the end. Looking forward to the finale and what everybody else has to say. Thank you. Bye.
So, all
Thanks,
right.
Rashmi.
Thanks. Her vote out for next week is Austin.
Yes, that would be interesting. Not sure how that'll come to be.
Well, all they'd have to do is mention Dee's name and he'd give her the idol probably.
Oh, and then get him? Because
Sure.
that's what I meant. You got to get that expiring immunity idol away from him somehow.
Because it has to be played this week.
You
so
got to
why
1-2
wouldn't
punch
they?
it. Yeah.
Yeah. But that would be a way if he thought Dee was the
I
right
don't
one.
think this group is up to a move like that.
Probably not, but whatever. I don't know. I think they're going to still probably go after either Julie or Drew again. I'm probably still going to vote for Drew because that's what I want. So
Yep.
whether it's right or not, it's cost me dearly the last few weeks in the game, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, up next we've got a call from Nora.
Hi, Stacy and Joanne. It's Nora, and I am calling this episode The Gang Who Couldn't Vote Straight. Let's go down the list, shall we? Of the 7 people tonight, Drew tells Austin the Julie plan, whom he knew would blab to Dee. Austin forgets to get his idol back right after the tribal when he first slipped it to Julie. Dee. She's the kind who, as you watch her in the show, you just get more tired of her because, I really want what I want, passionately. While other people are standing there going, I know she's going to ask me my opinion at some point. Emily, she stabbed people in the back who were making moves earlier by going to the 2 boys of Reba. Oh, Katura, way back. I remember when she stabbed the Women's Alliance in the back, even though we know it never works. Women are always at the bottom of priorities, whether we're in a union, we're at the bottom of that. We're in a movement for one race or another, we're at the bottom of that. We're always the ones who help others, but we never are interested in our own gender. What can we say? And I don't love it. I really don't love it. Now I'm getting kind of sentimental about, remember that guy? Was his name Brad? What was the name of the guy who was the only person who could keep their mouth shut about their idols? Remember? Anyway, everybody hated him for some reason. I loved him because he could keep his mouth shut. If you look at it, it was 4 against 3, and they had Drew as their fourth, and they should have told Drew, whatever you do not discuss it with the other 3 people. It's just not going to work to get Julie out. It's not going to work. And life goes on. Maybe next spring will be better. Take care.
Nora's already jumped to season 46. She's like, I'm going to write this one off. Thanks, Nora. Next up, we got a call from David in Oklahoma.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey. This is David from Oklahoma. I've been gone a couple of weeks, Thanksgiving, and then I had my birthday, so I haven't really had much feedback to say. Besides, I thought it was funny that Kendra got to try chicken before Thanksgiving. I'm going to agree with Parker on this one because don't count Jake out of the game just yet. He's got a really good story, and if I think he gets out Dee and Julie, I think he could win it. Austin, I don't really see him as that powerful because I feel like he's just going to fumble the final tribal council. I've been really enjoying this season, and the challenges, they're really fun. And again, for a future Survivor player that like me, a future Survivor player, I really am enjoying this, but not the final 7 idol thing because that's a little too late for a journey in my opinion. Thank you guys for doing what you're doing and have a great rest of the year and have a Merry Christmas. Bye.
Awesome. Happy belated birthday and happy holidays to you too, David. Next up, we got a call from Bianca-n-Haydn.
Hi, Joanne and Stacey and Survivor fans. It's Bianca.
And Hayden.
From Adelaide.
And Emily's gone.
Yeah, sorry about my prediction of Emily winning, but yeah, she just shouldn't have bragged about Bruce and kept that little nugget for herself until if she got to the final. But it was only 1 vote.
Yeah, it's funny how much her threat level increased and how much clout she got from one little move when everybody else was on board for the vote. But she took credit for it, and in this season where there really hasn't been all that much strategy, she made a move and people see her as a huge threat, and she got a huge target on her back. So if that is what's considered a big move, then I think this season strategically is falling a bit flat.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And what's the jury's expectation for this season? That'll be interesting to see in the final and what questions they have to ask.
So it was good to see an idol played correctly.
Yeah, I loved how Julie used that idol. It would have been very Jessie-like if she actually used it to play against Austin. Yeah. But I agree with you, Joanne, that Julie is very tough. I think you can see it, how she was so close to winning those immunities, and she does really have some grit in there. You could see it in her eyes how determined she was when she heard Drew was gunning against her, and I kind of understand why she didn't go for Austin because technically it was his idol. So she could have felt in debt with him, but now she knows that for Dee, Austin is her number 1. But what if she did vote for Austin?
Yeah, well, if Drew knew that Julie was likely to play her idol and potentially voting for Austin, and he was aware of that, then he could have kept quiet and let Austin go, which would have meant that he was getting rid of a really tough opponent, also his closest ally, but a really strong opponent without getting his hands dirty, and then he maintains a friend on the jury.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens next episode, the Julie versus Drew. I don't know, I feel like maybe Drew might be going if everyone starts turning against him.
It'll be really interesting to see how he handles the pressure.
I wonder if the showman's is going to actually do anything else because they didn't seem that affectionate. It just almost seems a bit surface level. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it almost seems a bit manufactured or edited.
Forced.
There's not really seeing any affection. There's talk of it, but we're certainly not seeing anything.
No. And I don't know, I hope Jake can do some more moves. I like how he says he's a wolf in goat's clothing, so let's see what he has to show.
I like that he's trying. Nothing seems to work for him, but at least he's having a go.
Yeah, he is.
And I hope he can make a move that does pay off for him.
Okay, thanks so much, Joanne and Stacey, for everything you do. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Bianca. Thanks, Hayden. Good job.
It just feels like Jake's only option is to follow. He has no agency
when they were saying that,
to lead.
Right. When I was saying that, I thought, yeah, maybe he'll fall backwards into it. But it won't be because of anything, any choice, any action that he took.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that
It'll be someone else's
why
screw
he
up.
would be the perfect
It won't even be their desire either. The way this season's working and the way these people are playing, it'll be a goof that he ends up there somehow.
And to watch Drew on the next on just have a tantrum, basically.
Yeah.
It's just like, I thought, okay, he is just, 22 out there?
Yeah, he is one of the youngest. He may be the youngest left, yeah. Yeah, pretty sure D's older.
That was coming through.
Definitely Couture's older. I think even Jake's older, yeah, by a little bit. A couple years or something.
It reminded me of a toddler,
Yes.
Screaming and stamping their feet and laying down in the middle of the store.
Yeah.
Like my mother said I used to do.
All right. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California.
Hello, Survivor fans. I know I haven't sent in feedback from the last few weeks, but I'm still enjoying this season quite a bit. The auction was quite enjoyable, and I thought the last few tribals were well done. I think Emily did not help her case this episode when she talked to everyone that it was her plan to get Bruce out. When we got Katura's backstory, I thought she'd probably be a goner this episode. The boat journey that Emily took was interesting, and seeing the savvy task back. But it being close to the end, I'm not surprised that Emily didn't risk it. I probably wouldn't either at this point in the game. The immunity challenge puzzle seemed really hard, with having it be an art to make the word yeah. And I think it was Austin that was very close to winning it. He just didn't get the other side to say the same thing. I do feel like Austin did a good thing telling Dee the plan to vote out Julie. At Tribal, it was a good move on Julie's part to play her/Austin's idol, especially since all votes were on her and she was the only vote against Emily, so Emily was out. With only 2 episodes left, it could be anyone's game at this point. I feel like Dee and Julie are the potential winners at this point, but I could also see Austin maybe winning. I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of this season plays out. All right, thanks, Jack. Up next, we have a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey. It's David in Pittsburgh. Well, last week I wondered if people were moving up in this game because of their good gameplay or because of the rest of the contestants' bad gameplay. And I think after watching everybody put their vote on Julie, just like they did with Caleb, it's really bad gameplay that is letting other people move up the ladder. I think in this case, Dee is the one who's strategizing, and I'm wondering if we're going to get to a Shahin and Ricard situation where Dee finally has to cut Austin loose. Because right now, I think the game is hers. I don't see anybody playing at her level, and unless they eliminate her, then we'll see who else moves up. But I thought Emily made a mistake the week before when she voted out Bruce, didn't try to make a bigger move, and this is what it got her. I kind of rushed through that because I wanted to tell you about something that happened last week. We had a dinner party. It was late. People were starting to get ready to go. The conversation kind of got into Survivor. I have no idea how that happened because the 3 friends of mine don't watch it. One watched the first season. The other two have never watched it. Next thing I know, my husband mentions your podcast, which he never listens to. And then he tells them that I chime in every week, which he's never heard. So everybody starts asking all these questions. So here I go. I play the introduction to your last podcast. I play my 3-minute segment. Then I take them over to the TV to show them what a tribal council looks like and what a competition looks like. And I'm not noticing everyone's eyes glazing over. Two of my friends didn't understand that when people get voted off, some of them get on the jury. No one knew what hidden immunity idols were. When I talked to them, explained them, showed them Bruce, whatever, then they're all asking me, well, why didn't Bruce play his idol when everybody voted against him? And by now, everybody's yawning, and my husband's in the kitchen washing the dishes, and I thought, oh, no, David, let these people go home. They don't get it. So as they're all leaving, I thought, well, now this is David in Pittsburgh, who's friendless, going to be calling in Survivor. So thank goodness I have this group where people discuss Survivor and understand what each other's talking about, because I certainly don't have it at home. I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
I like that. Thanks, David. That was good.
Well, we're here for you, David.
Yeah, you got the right tribe right here. Next up, we got a call from Shahin.
Hi, Joanne, Stacey, and Daughters Survivor fans. Hope everyone is well. I thought this episode was, again, like a really bad continuation of what we started to see last week, which was like poor gameplay. And I think it's building and building. And this episode really highlighted decisions, in my view. There were multiple small decisions that everyone had made in that episode, which highlighted everyone's poor gameplay. And last week I said that there were maybe a few that are playing a good game. I'm not sure. And it's because I think the Reba 4 has disguised everyone's gameplay in that group of 4. I think collectively they're a very strong unit, but individually they're not very good players. And it's only just dawned on me in this episode, just from the decisions that each one of them had made. We'll start from the beginning, I guess, and go with like what both of you highlighted. I thought of it immediately, which was Emily. Why talk about something that paints a target on your back? I know you were excited. I know you made probably your first big move of the season individually, but you didn't need to do that. It really painted a target on your back and unfortunately gone. And that's something you keep with you to the end when you make the final 3. If you don't make the final 3, well then too bad. At least you made a good move, but that's something that you want to use at the end. Now, was there a bit of foreshadowing in the Boston Rob discussion with Austin and Dee? I don't think so. I think it's a good little bit to have in there, but I think that Dee is like one of those big femme fatales that we're going to see come out of this season. And, you know, she's crawling up towards the Black Widow Brigade. She's going to have to kill off Austin to get there, I think. But we're seeing something there with her. I, like you, did not understand why Emily was like really disappointed in drawing that green rock and saying that she couldn't catch a break in this game. That was your decision. It was clearly a choice, an individual choice to participate, and the trade-off is huge, as we see later. I'm not convinced that Emily's human. Like, I know she's talking about how she had to adjust her emotions. I know it shows like self-awareness, but changing those emotions, total android move. You can't change my mind. I thought Dee said something interesting, saying that they've grouped together and plan to play in the final 4 to the end, but purely in fear of what Jeff could throw. Do we think that this is a core motivator for them, that the modern game could throw twists so hard to disintegrate an individual's gameplay if they aren't protected by this core alliance? Is this why they've been floating in the 4 for so long? I'm not sure, but it's interesting nonetheless. Again, it's protected what I think has been poor gameplay by all of them. Great win for Drew. I think Drew was the only one that came out of it okay, but then he ratted out. I think everyone made really poor decisions throughout the end of that episode, culminating with that information being leaked out. I thought the move was a good move, but Dee ruined it. Everyone subsequently did something to ruin that episode for me. Dee, just a little tidbit, playing with your heart doesn't win you Survivor. Making smart strategic moves does, while retaining your relationships. So yeah, let's just hope that it's a better strategic game going forward, because so far I think it's not been, and I think it's a good season, but it's not great. So let's see how it goes. Thanks for you do.
Thanks, Shahin. I agree. There's been good moments, but certainly this will not go down as a great season. I think that's established at this point, regardless of how we get through the finale. Could be wrong, but I don't know that anything could overwhelm all the things that have culminated in this season. But I like your goal to have a positive outlook.
So it won't be number one on your list?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
That happened. That was clear with the first 3-4 vote outs that this was never gonna reach those peaks. Thanks, Shahin. Next up, we got a call from Kim.
Hi, everybody. This is Kim from North Carolina. Surely Drew is going to see the writing on the wall and try to get something going with Jake and Katura. And even though it looked to me like he really did want Julie to go, that he would work with her because Dee and Austin can both say that they enabled Julie to be able to fight off the attempt to vote her off last night. It appears that Drew does not have any such excuse that he can make, so the only way to make it right with Julie is to actually team up with her. Plus, the only way to take down Austin and Dee is for everybody else to get on board and vote one of them out, and to make sure that they don't get wind of the fact that they're going home. Maybe it happened in a dream, but I really thought Reba 4 was going to the final four, and then they were going to let Fire make the final decision. But really, that's not what's going to happen, because if either Austin or Dee has a choice, then Julie and Drew will be making Fire. Who knows? I just hope Julie continues to fight, because I think I like her best now. That's all, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for participating. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy.
Thank you, Kim. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and all the super fans. This is Justin from Michigan. Just wanted to call in, and once again, I'm right on the same page with Stacy this week. I think Austin really sunk his game. Looking back, he hasn't really been making any moves, hasn't really been taking advantage of the opportunities he's been given. This week, I think it really cemented that he's not going to win. I think he's like a Xander archetype, where he appears to be a strong player, but nobody really takes him seriously because he's not making those big moves. And I think that's where he's going to stand, where he's just going to be looked at as Dee and Drew's sidekicks. If he's not going to drive the move, that's his position. He had the opportunity this week to claim a part in taking out Julie, and I think everybody would have respected that at the end, including Dee. I think he was overthinking it. If Dee is going to hold a game move against you with your relationship outside of the game, probably not somebody you want to be in a relationship long-term with anyways. So don't think he thought about that. Whereas Julie also had the same conundrum. She could have taken out Austin. And I think that would have been her strongest move, where you disarm Dee, you take away, now Dee's tied to you, and you take away Austin. I think that's the right move, because Emily has shown she's the type of player who I think would have respected that and stuck with Julie. So I do think both of them made a mistake, and it goes to Stacy's point that I don't think anybody in this season is a complete strategic powerhouse. That kind of leads me to, I still think anybody has a shot, including Katura, who had the really good backstory. It was really touching. And then she's been kind of driving confessionals all season. A lot of it's been Bruce centered. But what if that's because Bruce ends up being a deciding vote, giving her the win? And I mean, that'd be kind of ironic and cool. So I'm just thinking, could she have the Marianne or the Erica type comeback here at the end? It could happen. So going for Drew this week, I think Drew's going to be the odd man out of that Reba 4. There's really no reason to get rid of Jake and Katura at this point, and there is cracks. So I'm going to stick with that, and looking forward to what everyone else has to say.
All right. Thanks, Justin. He included another note. He said, why didn't Emily throw out a vote for Austin or anyone other than Julie if she knew she might have been a secondary target? She said in her interviews that was something she wished she had done. They already had enough secured voting for Julie, and she could have at least forced a tie with someone. It was similar to the Caleb vote, where she chose to pile on Caleb instead of controlling who goes home with the lone contrarian vote. Yeah, she said that she regretted that letting Caleb go too, that she had quite a few regrets. She had definitely been doing some ruminating, thinking about her game and how she could have played better in that regard. Thanks, Justin. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, every week the edit promises the breakup of the Reba 4, and like Charlie Brown with the football, I'd get my hopes up only to have it yanked away again. Arg! Here are my other observations. Bruce is out, champagne for everyone. So that's where this season's budget went. True fact, if you get really close to people, it's physically easier to stab them in the back. Katura's into meditation. She's trying to picture the sound of one Bruce not yapping. That's good. Austin has a stupid emotional heart. His head matches. Emily got credit for Bruce's exit, but she went from GOAT to GOAT.
Greatest of all time.
Okay. While Dee warmed up to Austin, Jake, and Katura practiced making fire. Yeah, they were doing that, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Like an evil genius in a movie, Emily monologued about her plan just before her demise. Dee and Austin share a tight bond. How tight is it? Chewing gum, Velcro, or crazy glue? I'm thinking more in the chewing gum area. Jake, it doesn't matter if you're a 2.6 GPA, you pass the bar. You're a liar. Post game, Austin plans to visit Dee. If she wins, she might move to a gated community. So Katura's lawyer, pretending she isn't, who pretends to like lawyer stuff. Nice. Dee says Austin's not her type. She's into smart, self-centered, average-looking guys. Katura lives in her fantasy city and apartment, but she wants the million in real money. Austin's planning his wedding location, but Dee locates him firmly in the friend zone. Drew's favorite part of Reader's Digest is it pays to increase your word power. Austin, Julie didn't. Wow, that is a flashback. Reader's Digest. Yeah, my grandmother used to have those. I used to read them when I went over to her house. Austin, Julie did not turn into Gollum with your idol. She never once called it her precious. Emily, it's a sad fact many folks wouldn't recognize the truth if it bit them on the nose. Prior to the season, others practiced fire and puzzles. Drew practiced analogies. I bet he did. I bet he wrote a whole bunch of them down that he could use at tribal council. Like some butterflies, Emily underwent a marvelous change, then got her wings clipped. If I don't want to sit next to someone, it usually involves airplane seats and larger folks. Emily prefers Sunday morning puzzles. You can find the answers in the back. Austin doesn't want to crush Dee. He wants to crush on her. Emily's truthful, open, honest, and transparent. She does know she's on Survivor, right? In her interview, she said that was part of the problem. She wasn't that in tune with what the game was. She never really was everything we attributed to her. Drew's height and long, spindly arms gave him an unfair advantage in retrieving errant bags. Yeah, he needed less rope, didn't he? Julie and Emily smiling at each other was worthy of two beauty pageant rivals. Drew, Jake, and Austin got another boys' night, but mercifully without a montage. Yeah, Emily in her interview said that they put away 5 bottles of wine. She said the montage should have been on them because they had a good time at the sanctuary. Ladies,
4 people.
Yeah.
5 bottles.
Yeah. Ladies, is it really a spa day if you don't get robes, massages, and mani-pedis? Drew is a goober around camp. He's a chocolate-covered peanut. When you get tired of reading letters from home, you can always read your buffs. Seeing Drew and Jake standing next to each other reminds me of Mutt and Jeff. The thunder, yeah, that is good. The thunder we heard when Austin told Dee was the survivor gods yelling, "Don't do it." Jake, the next step up from playing a tree isn't a supporting role, it's playing a goat. Dee has 2 number 1s. That's Culpepper math. Julie's biggest acting face looks like it comes from a slasher movie. Watching Bruce's stern dad face made me think he was going to ground the final 7. Julie going rogue looks suspiciously like her doing what Dee wants. Yeah, doesn't it though? Bearing the immunity necklace is a burden, but at least you don't need to carry your bag. Next time, Julie and Drew are at war. Drew throws a hissy fit, and Jake is a wolf in goat's clothing. Doesn't Jake have that backwards? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Good job.
It should be the other way around, Josh, but for him, I think he got it right.
Maybe. We'll see. That's awfully optimistic that he's wolf-like. Next up, we got a call from Jill.
Hi Joe and Stacey, hi Survivor fans, Jill in the Outback here. I said last week that I hope that Dee and Austin didn't get too wrapped up in each other and forget how to play Survivor, but it's exactly what Austin has done anyway. Dee seems to be keeping a level head and Austin is not. It would have been a whole different ending if he hadn't gone blabbing to Dee about Julie. Gosh, what a life Katura has had, and it makes me even more mad that they gave her a letter from her estranged mother as part of the reward there last week. There's obviously some pretty deep-seated issues happening there that I don't think really needed to be aired on a reality TV show. The jury is annoying me a little bit. They're a little bit over the top in their reactions to anything happening. That's getting annoying. I don't know. I'm confused why they even wanted to get rid of Julie in the first place. They've got their core four. Why not just get rid of one of the easy pickings? Get rid of the... I suppose they might want Jake around at the end to be a goat, but they've got Katura there. Why couldn't they just vote her out? Or Emily even too? Yeah, I'm just finding the gameplay a bit baffling this year. I'll leave it there for now. Thanks for everything, Joe and Stacey. Happy days, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Jill. Yeah, that letter showing up there was a real mess. I imagine we'll hear a little more about that. I think a lot of fans have been wondering how that got so goofed up. Maybe there was one family member in charge of pulling letters together and production somehow missed that, or Katura didn't. I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. Quite the mess. Thanks again, Jill. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
No, not Emily. Hey, everybody, it's Jeremiah here with some feedback, and oh my goodness, I hated to see that happen to poor Emily. Ugh, man, just after last week, too, when I was talking about a little bit of fan fiction about her potentially winning. Oh, man. Oh, well. You know, there's been a lot of talk about the lack of good gameplay in this season, which they're not wrong. We're not wrong about that. But I definitely think Emily was clearly probably one of the strongest players we had this season. Her arc was so interesting. You know, she obviously did make some mistakes there early on in the game, but she was able to rally and really showed us that she can be a really good player. And I know in this episode, everybody, pointed out the fact that she was doing a little bit too much bragging about her gameplay on the week before, even though in the end, I think she should have kept Bruce. But anyway, it was very impressive that she was able to convince Bruce. I mean, she definitely has shown that she has signs of being an extremely good Survivor player for sure, especially on the social side of things and be able to control votes and things like that. And she was really smart not to do that puzzle and risk her vote, by the way, because I was talking to Mike Kamira offline, and he of course, actually has a replica of that puzzle. And I'm going to tell you right now, he'll tell you it is extremely difficult to do, and she probably would not have been able to finish it in that a lot of time unless you absolutely know exactly how to do it. So she's a smart girl, is basically what I'm trying to say. And hopefully this is someone who will get another opportunity. I think she will, though. I think they really liked her. I think production really liked her, and so I think we'll see her come back. But yeah, lack of gameplay has been, of course, a big topic along this whole season, really. This week you had the fact that, well, as Emily pointed out, no one decided to split the votes. That would have been smart because there's always that risk of an idol being out there. So you have those kinds of things. Julie not voting for Austin. Honestly, I don't know what she's in a tough spot now because everybody outside of Dee wants her to go home. So she's in trouble no matter what. I mean, if she makes that big move and votes for Austin, now she just upsets the only person who for sure is behind her back, which is Dee. I mean, she's in a rough spot. I mean, unless she could have convinced the outside group people to take her to a Final Four and then make that move, I don't know. She's just in a really rough spot. So, but yeah, I'm with everybody else. It's always disappointing when people don't make moves. I mean, at this point, we might as well just give Dee the money because I think she's for sure winning. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there's an outside chance for maybe somebody like a Katura or maybe one of the boys. I don't know. We'll see. Not Jake, though. Jake is definitely not winning. But as far as my prediction for next week, obviously, Julie and Drew war continues. I've had Drew picked to go out a few times, so I'm probably just going to stick with that. I think maybe finally that will fall into place in our first read before we'll go home next week. That's my big prediction. Woo! I know. Big prediction, huh? All right. Well, that's it for me. You guys take care. Until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
All right. Thanks, Jeremiah. But it was my pick, too. What if I had him the last 3 weeks, I think. Or anyway, I'm kind of sticking with Drew, I think. That's my plan right now. So I'm with you, Jeremiah.
Yeah. What if the throwing the pot lid is all part of the acting that they have planned, the Reba 4 have planned? They're going to act like they're disintegrating, like Dee told
Nope.
Julie she's got to act.
Don't believe it for a second that was an act.
Okay. Could
Nope.
be part of their master plan.
No, he ain't that good at acting. No.
Okay. Good
Nope,
deal.
he was having a hissy fit.
Thanks.
I'm with Josh. Hissy fit.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. I have so many thoughts on this episode, and I don't know where to start. I can't believe Jeff Probst found a reason to re-air the whole Rob and Amber love story. Kudos, Jeff. The three lawyers were sitting together, and they don't know that they're all lawyers. Katura's story stopped me in my tracks. What an unbelievable story of resilience and success. I don't know how I feel about waiting so long to tell this story. I feel like I wanted to know about her sooner. We've had the whole season to root for Dee in a special way because we know her backstory. We've only been able to view Katura through the lens of hating Bruce up till now. I think that Drew's perspective on his position in the Reba 4 alliance is a little bit delusional. I think he's number 4 in this 4-person alliance. I think that Emily should have gone for it and tried the challenge on the journey. She had absolutely nothing to lose. She wasn't 100% on taking whatever chance was offered. It probably would have been smarter for her to not have drawn a rock to begin with and let someone else grapple with the decision and the suspicion that goes along with going on the journey. Regarding Austin's idol that he gave to Julie, it was his big mistake to have given it to Julie in the first place, but when she didn't give it back, those red flags should have been waving in front of him that she is not a friend, she is a foe.
Yeah.
And I guess he's realized that now. The big mistake was giving the idol to her in the first place. But that is a huge crack in the Reba alliance, and I wished that the three that were on the bottom, Emily, Jake, and Katura, would have exploited that. Okay, back to the Rob and Amber stuff for a minute. I don't think they would have shown us all that mushy Rob and Amber stuff if Dee isn't going to be willing to let Julie go eventually. She also let it slip that Austin is her number 1. They are spoon-feeding us that she is Amber to Austin's Rob, and that is really taking all of the air out of the balloon of this season for me right now. I hope that I'm wrong, but the pull of Boston Rob is just too strong for Probst. I know that. I thought he spoiled the vote out for me, but now I think he's just spoiled the end of the season for me. I know I can't see into the future, but in the end, if Austin gets down on one knee and proposes to Dee as she wins the million, I'm going to be so upset. I just want to go on record as saying that right now in case it happens, and I desperately hope that I'm wrong. I mean, I don't hope that they don't find love, but if Probst spoiled that surprise for us, I'm going to be upset at that. But nonetheless, Austin and Dee are dangerous. At this point, they are one person, and if action isn't taken to get them out, then everyone else is just fighting for the third spot at the final tribal council. Based on what we were shown, I thought that the last vote out was a perfect opportunity for Jake and Katura to take out Dee. If they could have just thrown 2 votes on Dee, she would have been the one being voted out and not Emily, and that would have been an amazing move. They had nothing to lose and everything to gain at this point. I loved Jake's analogy that he's been playing a tree, and it's hilariously right on. And the fact that he wants to move from being a tree to just a supporting player, he knows exactly where he stands in the game. All the more reason for him to take those crazy chances right now. I also love the analogy that he is a wolf in goat's clothing. Classic. So, my question is love stronger than strategy? I think that Austin and Dee have tipped their cards, and if they are not the targets next week, I don't know what to say. I cannot wait to hear everyone else's thoughts on this past episode. I'm looking forward to it so much. Till next week.
Thanks, Jen.
So, if the final Reba 4 got to 4,
Yeah.
say Dee wins the challenge,
Right.
does she, obviously Drew goes to making fire,
Right.
but will she send Austin against him or Julie? I kind of think she could send Austin. It's like, well, you know,
that would be
if
the boss
Julie's
move.
my number, yeah.
But she would send Julie, I think.
Really?
Yeah, she just told Julie that Austin was her number 1.
True, but
Emily, go ahead.
when Julie said to Drew, "You have one too," when he was talking about her idol, "You have one too," she sees him and Austin separate from her and Dee, or she did. Until Dee said that. So even though they were Final 4 all along, I think in their minds it was the 2 girls versus 2 guys.
That's how it started. Remember how Austin and Drew were hiding things from Dee and Julie,
And
they busted them for it. And then who was it that really enabled
They
Austin
still hid things
to have that first idol? It was Dee and Julie. that basically handed that to him when she gave the hammer over to him so they could go bust the rock and get it.
Yep.
Emily in her interview said that Reba 4 had everyone, well, at least from her perspective, it was clear that if you went against them in any way, you were dead to them and they weren't going to work with you. And she thought that, and it did for her, that affected how she made her decisions. And she thought that was probably at work with the others. Interesting, huh? The amount of influence that wields them acting as one like that.
Well, and once they had the majority, of course, but they didn't always have the majority, and people tended to.
I guess that threat was there even when they didn't have the majority.
Yep.
It's like, well, you're going to lose the
and
four of us.
And that's why they were so surprised that, wow, they didn't come after us.
They let us annihilate them. Yeah. That's the tagline for the season at this point right now. Thanks, Jen. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here, and guess what? We do have a showmance going on this season, but we just didn't get to see any of it because of time restraints. Obviously, we're seeing it now because it's defining alliances, and it's no longer easy to ignore. Was it just for this vote that it came to light, or will it lead to more interesting decisions for who's picked to go from here on out? Well, I suspect the latter. And just how did Julie manage to keep that idol? If I were Austin, I would have gotten that back, guaranteed. I had just assumed that Julie willingly gave it back because, well, Julie, wonderful Mama J. Would that sweet woman ever rock the boat and all that? But hey, you know what they say about assuming. Anyway, I loved the challenge. You had to build that word both figuratively and literally. And all in all, it looked very tricky to me. And I did really feel sorry for Austin, who was so thoroughly perplexed as to why his word was wrong. But it just goes to show that there are two sides to every situation. And in all honesty, I altogether missed the part where Jeff mentioned the second side of the puzzle. It wouldn't have mattered for me, though, because I can't unscramble letters into words for the life of me. Now, I liked the episode, but Tribal was the best part of it for me. I love the conflict. Lines may very well have been drawn and pushed a bit out of whack, but we still have Red as a dominant force. Katurah and Jake are the easy votes, but we have one too many Reds left to make it to the final three, so what to do? Will Dee suffer the showman's curse? I think Austin will most likely go for Drew going before Dee, and Dee is very much a Julie fan, so Austin won't want to rock the boat there and ruin his most important relationship with Dee. So Drew better have his eyes open. Who's next to go, though? You know, in the beginning of the season, we think it's hard to make JSFL picks because there are so many options and player combinations to go through. And we all think it'll get easier, well, at least I do, as the number of players decrease, but then you worry about spreading out your picks so you can make it to the end and still have options. And then you get near the end, like we are now, and the choices are just too limiting. This was my first 3-point week, but I feel I'm doing decently. However, I made my picks against what I really wanted to do because I now have votes for everyone throughout the rest of the game. So JSFL is never easy, but it's a fun kind of stress that you can always count me in on. And that is, I guess, my roundabout way of saying that I have no clue this week as to who's going to go next. I'm leaning towards thinking that Jake and Katurah are safe, though. We'll see how I feel about that after I hear the listener feedback show. I like a little reassurance when I make my picks. If even one other person here reveals a similar voting pattern, I feel better about my choices. Oh, and one last thing. I guess our players gave Emily more credit than I thought they would for ousting Bruce. And look where it got her. But she has had quite the interesting story arc, though. I loved watching it, and I hope it sticks with her. And I guess that's it here on my end. Everyone take care. Bye.
Thanks, Paul.
I think since Dee said, I think Austin has this whole image of, oh, and he's going to go visit her. They're going to have this. She's going to be his Amber. Blah, blah, blah. And I think hearing Dee say in her confessional, I think it was the confessional, not an extra video.
You haven't gotten there, so I can know what you're talking about.
Well, where she said, well, why not have some fun? I said absolutely no showmances, but, you know, why not have some fun?
Right.
But I'm like, she's wanting to have a little fun, a little flirtation,
right.
And Austin wants his Amber.
Yes.
That's way too
Wildly
far apart.
imbalanced. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't doubt that she's attracted to him and that she likes him. And we have seen them hugging each other. So
Even declaring love. I don't know what level of love that was. Love you.
yeah.
After the challenge.
Yeah.
Where she won him the reward.
Mm-hmm. Well,
the merge feast.
basically, she said, love you too.
Yeah.
Which, so, that could mean a lot of different things, you know. But anyway, I just don't think she's nearly as invested as he thinks she is.
Yep, gotta agree. There's the imbalance in the edit, like Jen was talking about, the crazy disservice to Keturah, who's got a fantastic story, but all we got was the I hate Bruce lens on her story until this last episode, and then
over and over
breaking the showmance thing here at the end, even though we were getting hints of it from like Kendra in her exit interview, and Emily said she for sure saw something was going on. She wasn't naive about any of that.
That's still pretty deep into the season. Kendra went home 10th, so.
Right, but she said that she was picking up those signals earlier on, and she had been warning people, so, and that helps Dee. Give her even more motivation to get rid of Kendra, I'm sure.
Well, I think Julie decided not to go against Austin because she felt like she'd be all alone at that point. She wouldn't even have Dee, and that then she would be a real easy target if she didn't have Dee on her side. And Austin was out too, but I think she just didn't want to break her tie with Dee, even after Dee saying that he was her number one.
And Julie knows she's being targeted, so she needs help. She needs alliance members somewhere.
Yep.
And, best to stick with what you know, I guess. The really interesting move would have been if she had just taken Dee out. That would have really turned the apple cart over, as Jake would say.
Yeah, but they would just take her out next.
Maybe, maybe not.
I think they probably would.
It depends on how well she could. It really depends on how good her social game is.
So Dee's only one vote, maybe two, but.
Oh, you're talking about
Austin.
From the jury, yeah.
Well, no. I'm not talking about from the jury. I'm talking about the people remaining in the game. That she's an easier target if she doesn't think she can bring Keturah and Jake into getting out whatever target she's after. Drew.
If she had used that one vote to take Dee out, that would have just equalized the board. I mean, it makes her the big threat, but I think it could have opened things up for her. I don't know.
I don't think you take out your only ally, even if you think.
But is she your ally when she's telling you you're not her number one?
I think she's
picking
still
Austin?
an ally.
Yeah.
But is she her number one? I think Dee was trying to say, well, of course you're my real number one, but he's my number one outside of us.
That isn't what was said.
That isn't what she said. No, it definitely is not.
Should have been a flag.
It
Given
was
what
a
we've
flag.
seen.
Julie acknowledged it. She just didn't act on it.
So you take Dee off the board, which Julie's got to be thinking she's been using Dee, and she's going to own that.
And Dee's been using Julie, so
sure, Julie was the vote. She was a vote that Dee could count on, and Dee got her way. That
she did seem to get her way a lot,
every time.
And now
Julie
I think
never got her way. Jake's still there.
Yes.
Julie has yet to get her way on anything. That would have been more exciting
Jake
to me.
and Drew are still there.
Yeah.
To her disdain. But, well, so far it's been a great break for Keturah and Jake. So, for them to start to break up.
To coast.
I'm not
with the cracks.
100% sure they won't pull it back together just to get to the end, but I hope not. I hope.
Dee's playing, and Dee is the boss from what we've been shown, who's been calling the plays, and they've been running her plays is to act. So when we come back from this tribal, Julie's supposed to be acting really angry, and Dee did her oh my gosh face during tribal council to try to misdirect things so it wasn't coming towards
I'll
her.
vote for Julie.
So
I gave her my vote.
Maybe Drew's thing is part of part of Dee's plan to act and make them think, to keep them off balance, so that they can easily get rid of Katurah and Jake. And whoever goes with them, Jake or Katurah, it's a gift to the final five.
Well, here's the thing, is Dee
Neither one of them has never been close to winning anything, have they?
Who?
Jake or Katurah. Either one of them at 5 with you is a non-threat.
Yeah, in my mind they were. So, but, I was just thinking, if they decided to, if Dee and Austin are going to play their thing out to the end, would Dee turn on Julie, or would she get Austin to turn against Drew? And I mean, still,
that's the bigger move.
While Jake and Katurah are still in the game. See, now last week was too soon to go after one of the 4, in my opinion. But
right.
Because it was could have been 3-3. But now, if they wanted to go after Drew, well, they can do that, because they would still have the numbers against Jake and Katurah, and they could still pick them off. Or, well, one of them will go with fire, but one of them would have to make fire.
They'll just get rid of them at 5 in the finale.
They could get there if they won fire, which would be funny if Jake or Katurah beat Austin in making fire, and they ended up in the final.
We did see them practicing. It didn't look like they were effective.
Well, I'd kind of like to see something shaken up like that. So that's why I was hoping, maybe since Drew was having such a hissy fit, that maybe they would be ready to target him.
Who knows? Maybe things are turning Jake's way. He didn't get a vote this time, just like he was hoping. He's holding at 7. Thanks to everyone who took time to share your thoughts and your predictions with us today. We enjoyed it. We appreciate hearing from all of you. Big thanks to Tara for your subscription donation this month. We greatly appreciate your support. It helps us with our operating costs.
If you play in JSFL, don't forget to make your Week 12 picks. Wow, Week 12.
That gave you pause.
Well, just Week 12, and then there's the finale.
Yep.
It's getting close. That means Christmas is too.
Indeed.
I've done nothing.
We're looking forward to the episode next week, and we'll be back on Wednesday with our recap. Have a good one.